of Sanhedrin. This is Wednesday, so I won't complete the Gemara because I have a prayer and I need to finish the Gemara on Thursday to make a proper siyum. But we're learning now about the Ira Dachas, and we have the pasuk. It says that its behemoths. Just to recap the last thing we did yesterday. It says in the pasuk behemta that its behemoths get killed in gathered in the street, and it says also shlala, its plunder. So we had an interesting machlekes in understanding Rab Shimon between Ravina and Shmuel, and that is that Ravina said that behemta comes to exclude a bechor that is unblemished. You don't, shlala comes to exclude a behemoth that's unblemished, and behemta comes to exclude that even a bechor that is blemished, that belongs to the kohen, also does not get burnt in the Ir Nadachas because it has a shem levai, it has an additional name. That was Ravina. But Rav Chizda said, Rav Chizda said that, Shmuel said that a pchoir, there's a difference between a pchoir that is unblemished is not really considered part of Hashem, because if there is a blemish, you just eat it straight away. So therefore, if it's unblemished, we say that we need the word behemta for that, and it's not part of shalala. And therefore, according to Rabbi Shmuel, if the bechor is blemished, it belongs to the kohen, it would get destroyed also with the Dachas. We're up to the Gemara over here, the two dots. We also said trumas yirkavu. What do you do with the truma? You let it rot. In other words, you also have to destroy it. The truma has to be destroyed, but on the other hand, it is sacred, so we don't want it to burn in the middle of the street, so you let it rot. This is about Kufyud Beis, or Beis, about 15 lines on the bottom of the page. Amar Rav Chizda said, Lo yishanol truma b'yad Yisrael. Remember, there's two stages. The truma starts out in the Jewish person's, the farm, and he sets it aside. So he doesn't have any ownership of it. He has to give it away to a kohen. And once he gives it to the kohen, it becomes a kohen. So what does the kohen do with the truma? He eats it. It becomes the mammon of the kohen, the possession of the kohen. So when it says over here that it was in Dachas and the truma gets, it really should be burnt, are we talking about while it's still in the possession of the Yisrael before he gave it to the kohen? Or we're talking about once he gave it to the kohen, it's now the possession of the kohen? If all the assets of every individual in Nir Dachas has to be destroyed, well, this is an asset of the kohen. Where are we? But if it would have been still by the Yisrael, it's considered sacred. It's not considered part of the assets of the city of Nir Dachas, and therefore you wouldn't burn it. So what are we talking about here? Amar Chizda said, "Lo yishanol truma b'yad Yisrael." We're talking about that. First, he starts off saying we're talking about the truma is still in possession of the Yisrael. Therefore, we don't burn it. We don't burn it. On the other hand, but because it's part of the Dachas, even though it's possession of the Yisrael, we are going to say you can't have any benefit from it. You have to bury. You have to let it rot. Truma b'yad kohen, but if it came into the possession of kohen, it's no longer truma now. It's a kohen's ordinary items. You burn it. Give it a minute to tisaref. At this point, we think that you have to actually burn it if it's your possession. Says Rabbi Yosef, I don't understand. It says in the Braisa further, Maisa Sheni, that's the Maisa you have to bring with you to the Shalayim, and Kisvei HaKodesh, and also the holy books. Usually you should hide it. But you should hide it. In other words, again, you cannot use it for yourself. On the other hand, we don't want to burn it because it's holy, so therefore you have to hide it. Now, but Maisa Sheni biyadi. So what does he do with Maisa Sheni? He takes it to the Shalaim and he eats it for himself. So he's just like the kohen who already received the truma. The kohen takes the truma and eats it for himself. They're comparable to each other. You just said that once it's in possession of the kohen, it's a regular asset and we just burn it. Here you have Maisa Sheni. Okay, I understand the holy books, Abish's name. You can't burn it. But look, here you have Maisa Sheni that's sitting in the hand and possession of the Yisrael. That means it's his. And yet we say we don't burn. We hide it. Why? Because it's sacred. So what's the difference? You hide it. Ella, you're right. Let's modify what Chizda said. Chizda said, Lo yishanu, this is not talking about Ella Truma, this is talking about Truma in the hand of a kohen. All the way around. Truma in the possession of a kohen, on the one hand, it's his, and therefore we have to do something, we have to destroy it, but you're not allowed to because it's sacred, so therefore we let it rot. About Truma b'yad Yisrael, if the Truma is still in possession of Yisrael, so there's no owner yet, because Yisrael has a mandate to give it to a kohen, so it's not really his, so there's no owner, then we would say, we don't burn it at all, because it doesn't belong to you. It's not part of your possession. So what do you do with it? Give it to a kohen from another city. Don't give it to a local kohen. Give it to a kohen from another city. So Tanan Hasa, we learn over there, Isa. So now we're going to learn. We said Isa Shal Maisa Sheni. Let's focus on Maisa Sheni for a minute. Maisa Sheni, we have an argument between Rameh and Chachamim who actually owns it. We had a Gemara Kedushin. If you give it to a woman for Kedushin, who owns it? According to Rameh, all over Shasi holds Maisa Sheni Mom and Gavayu. It's Hashem's. It's a mitzvah. You're the one who's eating Shalim because you're eating on behalf of Hashem. It's not yours. Maisa Mom and Gavayu. According to Chachamim, Maisa Sheni belongs to you. But you're going to eat it, so it's yours. So what happens if the din is, it says by dough, Ari Seichem, if it's your dough, you have to give challah. Do you give challah from Maisa Sheni? Will be the same argument. According to Rameya, you don't give challah from Maisa Sheni because it's not yours. It's not Ari Seichem. And according to the Chachamim, yes, you do give Maisa because it's yours. Says the Gemara, says the Mishnah, Isa Shel Maisa Sheni, the dough Maisa Sheni, Peturim and challah is exempt from challah. Dibur Rameya, Dibur Rameya. The Chachamim Mechayv, Chachamim say Chayv. Amar Chizah says, Machlekes. Chizah says, this Machlekes is the Maisa Sheni B'Yerushalayim. It's from a Maisa Sheni Yerushalayim. The Rameir hold Maisa Sheni Mamon Gavayu. So what's up? Chiddush here is that's only limited to Yerushalayim when you have an argument, because in Yerushalayim you eat it. So Chacham say, you eat it, it's yours. But Abba Zari Mamon had you. Avo Begvulim. But if it's Maisa Sheni outside of Yerushalayim, but you're not allowed to eat it, the only thing you can do with it is either bring Yerushalayim or redeem it, then even the Chachamim at this stage, it's not yours. Then everyone holds that you're a potter. Why? Because it belongs to the Eibishter. It's Mama Gavaya, it belongs to the Eibishter. And the second Rashi is, we don't care at a stage right now. We look at it as when you needed the dough. No, it's if you bring it to the Yerushalayim, according to what I just said, once in the Yerushalayim, now that it's considered yours, maybe the Chacham you have to give challah. But according to the second Rashi is, since at the time when you needed the dough, you couldn't have eaten it. There was no heter achila, so you are be'etzem potter. There's never a chiv of challah. I don't give it in Yerushalayim afterwards. You don't have to then give challah. Okay, so Moshe Rabbi Yosef, that's what Rabbi Chizah said. Come on, Rabbi Yosef, I don't understand. It says the following. It says now in Abraisa, Maisa Sheni v'Kisra Kodesh, you should hide it. But Mayas Kinas, this Maisa Sheni that you have to hide, which means you have to destroy it, it's yours, but we don't destroy it. Where are we talking about? Elam of Yerushalayim, that you're in Yerushalayim right now. Let's go through all the possibilities. If you're in Yerushalayim right now, right, and in Yerushalayim, the Chacham say it's yours, that's why you have to get rid of it. But there's no Iradachas. If we're talking about in Yerushalayim itself became Iradachas, it's impossible. Because we have one of the conditions Yeshua said was that Yerushalayim, 10 conditions, one of them was Yerushalayim can never turn into Iradachas. But one of them is Iradachas, can't convert Yerushalayim. Okay, Ella must be talking about, if you tell me in Yerushalayim, it says over here that Maisa Sheni you have to destroy. So we want to know where exactly is this Maisa Sheni right now. We'll go through every possibility. Maisa Sheni starts out in your hometown, and then you end up in Yerushalayim. So it cannot be that in Yerushalayim, the Yerushalayim became in Yerdacha. That's impossible. Next possibility is that you're in Yerushalayim, but it originated in your hometown. Elabira Cheres, Moskula Gava. It was another town, and now you brought it to Yerushalayim, and you brought it to Yerushalayim, and therefore, you have to burn it because it started out in your hometown became an Iradachas and all the assets have to be burned, and you have to burn it. And it's in Yerushalayim. And the Chacham said, in Yerushalayim, it's yours. You have to burn it, but you can't burn it, so you hide it. Can't be. Once you're in Yerushalayim, you're now take it back out of Yerushalayim. That means who owns it now? The city of Yerushalayim. It's no longer, it's severed all your ties. Just like we learned before that if you're too far away, we learned yesterday, if you're too far away, if your possession, your Russia, too far away, you cannot bring it the same day, then it doesn't have to get burnt. This is like too far away because you can't take it back out of Yerushalayim. Elallah. So must be talking about you're not in Yerushalayim. Who said you're in Yerushalayim? Talking about you're in the Iradachas. And you have to and the whole city became Iradachas. You have to burn all your possessions. According to you, just said that if it's outside of Shalim, everyone agrees it's not your possession. Even Chacham agree. Ma'aser Sheni belongs to Hashem because you can eat it. So why do you have to hide it for? What's the case here of Ma'aser Sheni? If you're in Shalim, the mechitzas make it part of Shalim. If you're in your hometown, you just say everyone agrees that it's not considered yours. It's not Shalala. It's not yours. It belongs to Hashem. No. Let's go back to what you said before. The Inadach is somewhere else. You're right now in Shalayim. And according to Chachamim, in Yerushalayim, it's considered yours. And therefore, you would have to burn it, so now you hide it. How you ask the question amongst Yerushalayim, the Mechitzas, make it part of Yerushalayim, it severs its ties to your city, you can all take it back out. But Skula Gava, Shenitma is talking about that it became Tameh. It became Tameh. And because it became Tameh, Yerushalayim no longer holds it. The walls of Yerushalayim no hold it. And therefore, because it became Tameh, that is why, in other words, what do you call it? It's talking about it's in Yerushalayim. And if it's in Yerushalayim, therefore you ask the question, Yerushalayim, it belongs to Yerushalayim right now. And therefore, why are you burning it? Answer, because it's Tameh. Once it's Tameh, it no longer belongs to Yerushalayim because you can't eat it. When does Yerushalayim say, I take over the ownership of the Ma'aser Sheni? If you can eat it, but since you can't eat it, it's Tameh. Therefore, Yerushalayim no longer holds it. It still belongs to the Ira and the Dachas. But sorry, but a second. Says the Gemara, so to redeem it. It's Taka Ma'aser Sheni. Redeem it. So the money use new things, and the food take back. So the Gemara, yeah. Rabbi said, you can redeem Ma'aser Sheni. Usually, Yerushalayim you can't take back out. And you told me the reason why Yerushalayim is not protecting it because it became Tameh. But redeem it, and therefore it's no longer protected by Yerushalayim. I feel Yerushalayim.
Yeah. So how does this Ma'aser Sheni move about? Because if it's in the Ir Nadachas, everyone gets killed.
Yeah. So before it became, what happened was before the city was pronounced in Ir Nadachas, you traveled to Yerushalayim, and you took it with you. And then while you were sitting in Yerushalayim, that city became an Ir Nadachas. So all the possessions of that city have to be brought back. And so we're saying that if it's Yerushalayim, but Yerushalayim retains ownership, so you don't have to bring it back at all. So we answer that, and once it's Yerushalayim, the Chacham say it's yours. And once it's yours, right? Once it's yours, you should bring it. And now it became an Ir Nadachas. Now your hometown became an Ir Nadachas, so you should bring it back. So we said, so we're saying the reason why Yerushalayim in this case, and that's why we say you have to hide it. You hide it, because you have to bring it back. We don't want to burn it. So we're saying over here, why is Yerushalayim not protected over here? Is because it became Tameh. So we ask a question. So if it became Tameh, so what? Redeem it. The money used to buy new Ma'aser Sheni, and this original Ma'aser Sheni bring back. So the Gemara, how do you know? It says, "Menayin leMa'aser Sheni shenitma." When it became Tameh, you can redeem it. I feel it in Yerushalayim because normally once Yerushalayim you can no longer redeem it. But if it became Tameh, you could. If it became Tameh after you brought it in, you cannot eat it. There the pasuk talks about you live far away, redeem it. And it uses the expression like Sukkot says you cannot eat it because you're so far away, you cannot bring it to Yerushalayim. So even if you're in Yerushalayim, if you cannot eat it because you're Tameh, it's the same idea. Go ahead and redeem it. Remember by Benjamin over there in Yosef, it says the word masis regarding food. And here we're talking about the lokuach. You're talking about the food. This is not the original Ma'aser Sheni. You already took your Ma'aser Sheni and changed it for money, and now you brought that money to Yerushalayim. Okay, the money is still possessions from your hometown, and you bought now new Ma'aser Sheni, and that became Tameh. So you can no longer redeem it. You can no longer bring it back because once it's a step away, you can no longer redeem it. And why not? So you want to ask the question: will leave the case to redeem that? Says the Gemara, because we learn how didn't we learn how the kuach bekesef Ma'aser Sheni is ma'yivta, that even if it's the second stage, you can still redeem it. Says the Gemara, we followed Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says once the second stage, it's not strong enough anymore to transfer the kedusha from this new food to the next stage to money, and therefore now that you bought with the money is stuck in Yerushalayim, but Yerushalayim doesn't protect it, and because Yerushalayim doesn't protect it, the Chachamim say it's yours. You have to destroy it. You can't tell me Yerushalayim protects it because it's yours, and therefore and it's Tameh. So therefore we say, but on the other hand, it's still related to Ma'aser Sheni. So therefore we're going to say let it rot. Says the Gemara. You hide it. And therefore you just let it rot. Talking about Yehochiv, so one thing I understand. So it has nothing to do with Iradachas. The problem is it's Tameh. And you cannot redeem it back. What are you supposed to do with it? Yehochiv, so my idia Iradachas, what's the relevance here of Iradachas? I feel Damanami. Forget about Iradachas. Just generally, Maisa Sheni, what do you do with it? It became Tameh, so therefore you go ahead and you hide. Eloilam b'toy. We're talking about toy. No, the question of the toy that goes in Yishleim does not allow you to take it back. No, it's separated from your city. Why have to hide it at all? You're going to Nofel Mechitzes, the walls of Yishleim. It's the walls of Yishleim that protect it, that make it sacred and protect it, but the walls are gone. And this follows the view of Rabbi. Rabbi said, Mechitzes lechel, to have walls in Yishleim in order to enable you to eat Maisa Sheni, that's Mahatoida. It's a mitzvah to eat inside the walled city. Leak but this that Yerushalayim retains ownership, and that the Mechitza says now you belong to me, you belong to Yerushalayim, and you don't go back to your Iradachas. That's only midrabanan. That is only midrabanan. No, but it says you're not allowed to take it out of Yerushalayim, right? You're not allowed to take Majan. That's called Mechitza's liklik. That concept is only midrabanan. Rabban made a we don't know. Once Yerushalayim, you can't take it out. So he says a key goes to Rabban, he cannot take it out. Eastern Mechitza, the wall is still upstanding. The less than the Mechitza, but the wall is gone. Like to make a gzeira, and therefore still connected to the ear and the dachas, and that is why you have to. That is why even in Yerushalayim does not protect it. The walls collapse. Don't do it tamei, tire, and that is why it's affected by the ear and the dachas, and the chachamim say, well, now Yerushalayim, it's yours. That's why you have to burn it. Okay, then he said, Kisvei holy works, you should hide it. Maslis in the Lake Rabbi Lezer, our Mishnah obviously does not hold like Rabbi Lezer. What do you mean? We're saying that it's possible for a city to become an Ir Nadachas, even though there's Sfarim in the city. Because we had an opinion before, which we'll repeat now again, an amazing opinion. The Tanya Rabbi Lezer Aimer, Kol Ir Sheyesh Bo Afilim Mezuzah Achas, the city that has even one mezuzah, Ein Nadachas Dachas, never come in Dachas. In America it says, how do I know that? You should burn the entire city. That's kol shalol and all his assets. Kol should be totally consumed. The heicha de'ikim mezuzah you cannot burn Hashem's name, the chsiv, because it says in Pasuk, Loisasim can destroy all the idols, but Loisasim came Hashem lekechem. I don't want you to do the same thing to Hashem. You're not allowed to destroy. Since you cannot destroy even mezuzah, surely you cannot destroy kisvei kodesh. No, it does not become yidach at all. So what do you have to hide? What are you burying for? The Rebbe uses possibly when he started mitzvah mezuzah campaign, the power of one mezuzah to save a whole town. Everyone asks the question, why don't you say the mitzvah asay is doicha the loisasa? Let the mitzvah asay of destroying a city push away the loisasa of not destroying Hashem's name. So maybe is every time you destroy Hashem's name, you're doing another Veda. Masha'en Kain, the mitzvah of burning is a one-off mitzvah. Burn the city is a one mitzvah. The loisasa of destroying Hashem's name is in the mezuzah. You have more than once Hashem's name. You're doing a number of avedas. One asay, a single asay can push away a single loisasa, but you cannot have a single asay pushing away numerous loisas, and that's why we don't say esed lois. Anyway, Rav Shimon says. Rav Shimon says, Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rav Shimon says that the Eibusha says that if you go ahead and destroy the cities like you brought me a carbon oiler, the Gemara says, Lema, B'drab Avin, and then we continue there. Whether you can build a part, whether it says in the pasuk, Hayisa Tail Olam, you should destroy it forever and don't rebuild it. So we had a machlekes of Yossi and Akiva, whether you can build parkland. Right? One opinion says you can't do anything with it, and Akiva says yes, you can build parkland. You just can't build houses. What's the argument? One pasuk says that tail means leave it desolate. The other pasuk says loisibana, don't build as if don't build houses, but parkland is all right. Now we have a general rule. You have a klal and a prat. Ein bechlal el mashabrat. You have one word that's generic, and then the next word which is limiting. So ein bechlal el mashabrat. But the limiting word comes to limit the klal. But what happens if the klal is a positive mitzvah and the lav is a negative mitzvah, vice versa? Do we still bunch them together and say, oh, it's a klal or prat on the same issue? Or do we say no, it's two separate dinim? That the asay includes whatever much more, and you're even asay. and the license are limiting, because that's only the license as far as the license is concerned, it's only limiting. It's not coming to limit the asay. And that's the argument, because here it says the ha'isa tail oilam and asay, leave it desolate, and then it says leisabana, which is a license. Says the Gemara. Lema, let's say, but I'm like to be arguing. Whenever you find a klal by asay uprat b'license, and the prat is alive, like over here. Ha'isa tail oilam is an asay, and that's leave it, don't do anything. And then it says leisabana, don't rebuild, which means limiting only to houses, but it's an alav. Ain't done as b'chal prat. It's not a klal prat. So therefore, it's two separate Avedis and one. See, so according to this, the Madi says above in one holds like above in, and therefore you're not allowed to build parkland either, because as far as that's concerned, there's an assay. Nothing's limiting that. Well, man, keep it less than above it. He doesn't hold it above it, and he holds. And no, it's coming to limit the Aveda only to binyan. Don't build houses. But the Ha'isa Tel Olam only means don't build houses, but you can have parkland. So therefore, it's a problem. How can a Maida get involved in a Machlekes Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Akiva? I can say I won't agree above it. The Hachbok, you know Machlekes there is. Mar Savat. How do you understand the word oid? It says Loisebona oid. Don't build oid. And oid means any more oid again the way it was. One says oid means legami masha anymore. Not even parkland. That's Rabbi Yossi. Well, Mar Savat oid lekamosha hoisa. Don't build it again the way it was. That's Rabbi Akiva. But parkland, you could. And that's going to parkland. The solution, if you had, let's say, trees that were chopped down, asurin, you have to be burnt like everything else. But if it's attached to the ground, mutarin. If it's attached to the ground, they are mutar. Why? Why? Because it says in the pasuk you should gather them together and burn them. But if they're attached, if they're growing still, you have to first cut them, gather them, burn them. So there's another step. Says the Gemara, what does this mean? We'll see in a minute. What happens if the trees are from another city? Then bein tlushin, bein mechabar, so whether attached, whether growing or whether they're cut down, they're us. What is going on here? My ilacher, I mean another city. What another city? We're talking about the city of Yericha. Yeshua put a ban after the Yericha that you're not allowed to ever rebuild the city of Yericha. But what's interesting, it actually doesn't know what the mucker is, that you're not allowed to rebuild Jericho, nor can you build another city anywhere and name it Jericho and call it Yericho. It says in the Meshech Choch, if I remember correctly, that the reason why not is that the city was destroyed. No, sorry, he asked on it. It says in earlier Svarim, the reason why you couldn't rebuild Yericho is because it was destroyed on Shabbos, and therefore you can't rebuild the city. And the Meshech Chochma asked, but it's mekalkal. The thing is, on Shabbos, if you ruin something, then you are potter. So what was on Shabbos? You destroyed. On the other hand, if you rebuild it, then you show that the destruction was in order to rebuild. And we learned in Shabbos that if you destroy in order to rebuild, it's a positive thing. It's not just destroying for the sake of destroying, and you are chayv. But interesting, that's the reason given. I forgot who gave that reason, that you're not allowed to rebuild the city because of Shabbos. Chizah said, this city should always remain destroyed by Yeshua. They swore lame the following. Order the Ishif Hashem. That person should be cursed in front of Hashem. Anyone, Yakum, that he will, if he stands up, and build a city. If anybody goes ahead and rebuild the city, you know what's going to happen? He will start the city and lose his firstborn. By the time he gets to finish the city, he'll lose his youngest. Tanya, we learned, it doesn't matter whether you're rebuilding Yericha or you're calling another city named Yericha. That's what we mean by Ilacheres. Ilacheres, Yericha, anything that you're not allowed to rebuild. See what it says, this person was a non-believer, wanted his scoffed at this thing that Yeshua said, and he went to rebuild Yericha. But he lost his oldest son Aviram when he established the foundations. And he lost his child, the youngest, Vizguv, when he built his doors. Tanya, we learn Ba'aviram b'chayra Russia. Aviram b'chayra was a Russia. Okay, he lost his first kid. He didn't learn a lesson. He thought maybe he was whatever at random. But there's Guv Tzira, then he lost his son. Guv, he should have stopped. Aviram is Guv, my other. Why you call them Russia? What did they do wrong? The father was going to rebuild the city. Hachgama. The Chil was a Russia. He should have learned. So Ba'aviram, he should have learned from him, not to continue, but Guf Tzidai, the Mashmash, yeah. He should have learned his lesson. Says the Gemara, he said, Guf Tzidai. Obviously, if Aviram is older, Guf is the younger. The Mashmash, any day is Guf Tzidai, so he must be younger than him. Matam, why says Guf Tzidai? Melamachaya Mekabe Vahoilech Ma'aviram Adz Guf. It was a number of children in between, and you lost them all. Says the Gemara, continuing on the story, we alluded to this before, but now we have the full story. Achav, Achav was his friend. They went to Menachem Ovel, to his house, to Chil's house, and lost all his children. Yossi sat there, he said, maybe Yeshua, when he made his curse, he actually was cursing much wider than you think. You cannot rebuild Yericha. I don't care what name you name the city, nor can you build another city and name it Yericha. What do you call it? And Amalei, you're right. Both are included in the curse. Amalei, Achav said, he started to mock. Moshe was much greater than Yeshua cursed. Yet like Kaima was never fulfilled. What curse? It says, if you go ahead, we say this is Shema. If you deviate and you worship idols, get angry, will strain the heaven from making it rain. And you want to know how much is raining? You know how bad I am? Tell him. On every furrow in the farms, they have another avodah zarah, another getchka. And there's so much rain and so much floods and everything. The rain is not allowed. The mazel mizgilei, I can't even go to bow down to these idols. It's so wet. So Moshe Rabbeinu's curses don't work. Lavda said the Yeshua Talmidim Mekayim. You can tell me the curse Yeshua doesn't work. What happened? It doesn't make sense. But yeah, as soon as he heard that the Chil Hashem, by Yom Eliyahu said Tishbi Mitosha Gilad, Eliyahu Tishbi said, the dwellers of Gilad, Chai Hashem Lekei Yisrael, Imiyah Talamota. I swear there should be no rain. Boy Rachme, and he asked, I should be looking at the beginning. Tiny are 3 keys that Hashem has, and he asked, and Eliyahu asked, give me the key of rain, which is one of the keys, Chis Hamesim, and give him birth. The Havale Aklida the Mitra gave him the key for rain. The convos they left. Suddenly there's a massive drought. Actually went on for 3 years. Then finally Hashem said to him, go away from here. Go ahead east, because it's dangerous. Achaz want to kill you. Then instead, go ahead and hide. Go hide over there. And the ravens, they brought in food. Where did they get it from? How did he could eat 100 of kosher? Achav's house. I told you before, it says in the Sforim that Achav actually kept Kol Kula. How did Eliyahu eat from Achav's kitchen? Because Achav kept a kosher kitchen. We don't understand what it means over the avodah zarah, and yet to be a frumid. Difficult to understand, but here this is the case. This is the proof. One of the proofs, main proof. Avodah zarah, yeah. There's no. That's what I'm saying, yeah. So it's a very difficult character, complex. It's very complex. We don't understand what it means when people then were over the avodah zarah. So anyway, days went by. So all the rivers and all the creeks, they all dried up. It didn't rain. Hashem saw that the world is in pain. Okay, Achav was a Russia, but everyone else is suffering as well. See, it says, so the Eibshter made the following ruse to get Eliyahu to make it rain again. And this is what happened. Remember, Elisha asked Eliyahu, give me double like in Mechai Mason twice. Because Eliyahu Mechai Mason once. What's the story? When's Mechai Mason? It says, the Eibshter's words was as follows, Kum lech, go, Tzaraftia to that woman. From Tzarafto, Ksiv, and it says, after this, Chola Benisha, that very woman that he had broken up a child, so became very sick. Balas Abayis became very sick, and he died. So boy Rachma Mason included Chiz Mason. Eliyahu begged Hashem, give me the key with Chiz Mason. There are 3 keys, and I cannot give to one person. There are 3 keys in total. If I give you 2 keys and I only have one, what are people going to say? That Eliyahu has more than the Eibshter. Shalosh Maftechil Nimsul Shliach. We're finishing Masechus Sanhedrin now. 3 keys were not given to Shliach. Shalchaya. These are the keys that Hashem retained: giving birth, Shalchami, rain, Shatchias HaMesim. All 3 have the same thing to do with procreating. But this is, as the Tzemach Tzedek writes in Sefer Chakira, the only example we have in this world of infinity is procreation. Because how you can continue creating as long as people are alive. Yomru, so Abraham said, people will say, "Shtayim b'yad Talmud, v'acher b'yad Rav." 2 in the hand of a Talmud and a Rav. I see her b'shakal high. Give me back the key for rain, and I'll give you the key for Tchis HaMesim. So Abraham made all this happen for that cause. So Abraham make it rain again. And Tzaddik Goyza, because Baruch Makayim, Abraham had no choice. He couldn't make it rain. While Eliyahu made a shvur that it shouldn't. Hi, they see it says, "Lech hed al Achav." Go ahead and reveal yourself to Achav. This is after 3 years. The Etna Motor, and make it rain on the ground. This whole story of Vadia and everything else he found in Leo. You want to compare Leo, the story, the Gavra person, the Turkey Legale, he locked the door, and the son realized he has no key. And he lost the keys. That's to bring the door down. What's the point having a lock if you don't have a key? My good friend Elio, my good friend Elio, he has a temper. Well, we know that Pinchas Elio, and the way we learned that Pinchas Elio, and he had a temper there also in Zimri ben Saleh and Kazi Basur. He has a temper. So what happened? Rogel Abesi got an interesting story. Elio used to frequent Rabbi Yasi. But 3 days in the prayer. The law didn't come. When he did come, Rabbi Yasi said to Elio, why didn't you come to me earlier? Captain Corinthians, you called me a guy with a short temper, a short fuse. I got angry. I didn't come. You just proved that I'm right. You didn't come because you got angry. They said you have a short fuse. It was a kanoi. Then it's in the pasuk, you should leave nothing, but you should take nothing from the dachas. So the Gemara says, "Kol man should shoyim ba'olam." As long as there are shoyim in the world, is angry. Man is shoyim. Who are these shoyim? What's the worst possible Russia? I want to be Yosef Ganver. You hear that? And it says by you live before by the Mabul. They did all the Avedis, and yet lenechtem gzardinam. Only why? But their fate sealed because they got nothing. In Masechta Samachas, in the second page there, it says that if somebody steals, we're having more about you're like a murderer. Okay. But in Masechta Samachas, in the second page there, somewhere in the middle, it says that if you're a ganif, you're a murderer, you're Ovid Avodah Zorah, you are Gila Arroyas, it's inexorable. You start off first, you're swearing false, and then from that you start swearing in God's and other idols' names and blah blah blah. And then stories how the people couldn't afford to. You made them poor, so you took their wives away, and so on. Talking we learned. Rasha comes. We'll just learn a few more lines, and then if time you want to finish. Okay, there's anger. It says, but boys, when a Rasha comes into the world, there's shame, embarrassment. I'm calling when a Rasha comes into the world, that is full of shame and disgrace. Russia, for Russia leaves this world. Everybody's happy. She never says when Rishayim get lost. Arena, we're singing songs. We're happy. Sadik niftim never. Sadik leaves the world. That means bad comes to the world. Sadik the any some people don't realize the anshe chesed nesafim, and they don't realize that that the reason why the tzaddik left anshe chesed nesafim maybe they don't understand. Kimi pnei hara nesav tzaddik. Before the bad happens, tzaddikim pass away. Before the bad happens, they shouldn't have to witness it. Like we had Ula said, I wish Mashiach will come, but I don't want to be part of the chevle Mashiach. I want to die right before all the bad things happen. Okay, I'm going to finish it. Good consideration.